Now, longtime viewers of the show will know that I'm from Michigan because I won't shut up about it. But what you may not know is that I've been living in Boston for some time now. Living in Boston, I've seen some shit. And this past weekend, I've seen the biggest shit of them all, the No Kings protest. And I'm gonna give you my key takeaways. My first and most obvious takeaway is that these motherfuckers were old. I'm talking 55-year-old average. The average person in attendance have had their AARP card for at least a few years now. The average attendees were groups of boomers wearing matching shirts, which is never a good sign, and wielding signs that were professionally made. And if you know boomers, you know that there's no way that they made those signs because boomers don't have the love of the game. They don't have the Mamba mentality. They don't have the wherewithal or the drive or the technical knowledge required to make signs at that level. Now, the implication of this is pretty obvious. This event was put together by an external organization. And I don't think that's crazy to say because an event of this size has to be made by an external organization by design. It takes money and manpower and organizational talent in order to get something like this put together. So it takes a lot of energy to advertise and make the very professionally made signs and hand those out to people. And to be honest, I think they did a very good job at advertising on Facebook because the average age of a Facebook user directly correlates with the average age of an attendee at this No Kings protest. And that's not all bad. And I'll tell you why. Because recently in Boston, we've had an uptick in the last few weeks of leftist riots. So walking into this thing, which I didn't even know was happening because I'm a hermit, I thought I was going to see some shit. But things didn't pop off because the average age was, of course, much higher than expected, and old people just do not get down like that. Now you'll be saying, Gary, why does it matter that everybody there was old? It should matter that there was a ton of people in attendance. And to that I say, first off, it doesn't matter the size, but how you use it. And second of all, nobody wants to be associated with a bunch of geriatrics. Boomers are cringe. Okay? So if you're trying to get the broader electorate to support your proposals, wheeling out a bunch of geriatrics is not going to get somebody to say, oh, look at those guys. I really want to be associated with the local hospice care home. No, that's not going to get people interested in your cause.
So from what we can see from our viewpoint here in the studio and talking to our crew on the ground and some people I know who are there, this is an older crowd. There's not a lot of folks, and granted, it's a big crowd here. I'm not good at estimating, but it's definitely over 2,000, maybe close to 3,000. We can't see everyone, but it's an older crowd. A lot of white hair. You see out there Q-tips, as we used to call them in the business. And they're out protesting, and not a lot of young people.
Now, my second observation was that this was less of a protest and more of a social event. Now, you'll be thinking that because they had all the signs of a protest, like people holding signs or wearing shirts and angry dudes shouting into megaphones, that this actually constituted a protest. But in reality, most of the people were there in order to check out what the hell was going on. So there was a smaller core of protesters and then a larger group of people just passing through and checking it out. That's really all it was. You know, they had like a small critical mass of people that lured other people from around in the area because it is like the high profile area of Boston into coming in to the protest and unwittingly being a part of the protest while not actually really engaging with anything. You know, they're walking around, families and groups of teenagers looking at, oh, look at that guy and look at that guy and oh, that's a real fucking weirdo, what a real specimen. And they weren't really engaging with the core material. Third of all, this was done mainly for looks. This was done to gather a bunch of people in a place at a specific time to get some sweet drone footage for the news organizations to look and say, look at all the people that are mad about the thing. That only confirms our bias. Our confirmation bias is confirmed. So it really wasn't to actually make something happen because most of the electorate there already agrees with whatever the hell these politicians are pushing. But at the same time, nobody actually showed up if you think about it. There were people coming in from out of town. I could tell because when I got into my car right after, there were tons of people who were clearly from out of town, either by their out of state licenses or from the fact that they weren't driving in the normal bloodthirsty manner that Bostonians normally exhibit. There was tons of traffic, most of it caused by Priuses, driven by gay little liberals who don't know how to drive.
Showing people who are boomers and middle-aged out taking time from their day on a Saturday to come and protest and be heard at the nation's oldest public park, Boston Common, in the home of democracy and the revolution in Boston. So it's growing, and I think part of it is because a lot of people are coming from outside the city and arriving well after noon when the kickoff was, and also all across the state and the nation.
So, my last and most important takeaway is that we need to slash Social Security to zero immediately. We need to take away all benefits and rights from boomers ASAP. And I'm saying this because boomers are clearly a net negative to society. They push things that they don't understand. They join social causes that they don't even realize are counterproductive to their own children's futures. They don't really even know what the world is about. And this all stems from them, pretty much having their entire existence handed to them on a silver platter and then pulling the ladder up behind them on the succeeding generations that came after. But the case remains that we need to find a way to filter these people out. We need to check voting registrations, and if you are a boomer, you should have your registration revoked permanently and you should be sent to some sort of penal colony where you can be re educated. And I'm not saying that necessarily because they are on the liberal side. There are tons of conservative boomers who also suck. I'm saying that because they're gay. Like, if you showed up in fucking matching shirts and professionally made signs made by some NGO that is pushing something that you don't understand, and you didn't once stop to think, wow, I look really fucking gay right now, you're a problem. You are a problem for everyone around you. You are causing so many issues. Your kids are probably embarrassed of you. Your grandchildren, when they see pictures of you, they cover their faces in shame because you are cringe. And, this is not good, especially for the Democratic Party, who is pretending like this is some sort of mega own on the Republicans, because all of their voters are dying. All of their voters are on, Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, soon to be departed. That is not a good way to maintain a stable voter base. That is not a good way to get young people to join your cause. Young people will avoid anything they perceive as for old people like it's the plague, okay? And aligning yourself with a bunch of crusty ass boomers who wear gay shirts with, stupid political cartoons on them, that is not a good way to advance in this political system or any political system. You know who's enjoying this? You know who's enjoying watching all this bullshit? Xi Jinping. He is probably sitting there in Beijing watching the West commit seppuku, and he is just ejaculating all over himself in joy. Vladimir Putin is probably seeing this and rubbing his hands together, thinking, yes, another slice of Ukraine is mine. Because there's no fucking way that a country with this kind of gay ass activity can remain stable for much longer. Okay? The problem that we are facing right now is I can boil it down to boomers fucking everything up. Okay? You can have a different opinion on immigration or healthcare or whatever, but if you're a boomer, you fucking suck. Okay? You fucking suck because you don't know how to have dialogue. You're used to having everything handed to you on a silver platter, and you can't, for the life of you, fathom why anything would need to change. You can't, for the life of you, fathom why your kids have a different opinion than you and why your grandkids fucking hate you when you're out here advocating for something that hurts them. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Thank you for watching. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And the key takeaway from this one is say it with me, don't be gay.